which excites me, which puts me in the zone of winning.
Lord tells me he can get me out of this mess, but he's pretty sure you're fucked.
A short time ago, there were days when we were torn apart.
You lied to us.
Well, there's been a security scare involving the King, with a man arrested after an egg was thrown in the monarch's direction during a public walkabout north of London. Live to 7 News Bureau Chief Hugh Whitfield. Hugh, do we know why the King was targeted, and was it the same bloke who did it last time?
Well, Koshy, that is unclear, unlikely though. It happened about an hour north of London in Luton, in Bedfordshire. The King was on a traditional walkabout greeting members of the public. You see one of his security guards step in to move the monarch away from the crowds, and in the background what appears to be an egg has landed on the road a couple of metres behind where the King was standing. Now, Charles looked relatively unfazed by all of this. He did continue on greeting members of the public shortly after. Local police say they have arrested a man in his 20s and he's currently in custody and being questioned, Koshy.
Yeah, what's his popularity like now? Because, as we said, it happened a couple of weeks ago as well. Is his poll figures on the decline? Why are people so narky with him?
Look, they're pretty strong, particularly after the death of his mother. I think there is a bit of a buoyant mood surrounding Charles, but I think what we're seeing is that we haven't seen a monarch out and about in such an active role for many years, because the Queen simply wasn't doing this in the latter years of her life. So Charles is incredibly active. There's almost an engagement once a day right now in the UK. He's out and about a lot, and so I guess people are coming to terms with the fact that he is going to be in their community. Yes, there is always going to be some opposition, but on the whole, the people who go out and stand in the cold, very cold in Luton overnight, they want to be there to see him. That was early November the 9th, when those 4 eggs landed near Charles, very close to him, a man arrested on that occasion as well. So whether it's a pattern or not, but certainly a lot for security officials to think about.
You're too right. All right, Hugh, thank you.
In October 2017, His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince and Chairman of the NEOM Company Board of Directors, revealed his vision for a new future.
مثل الفرق بين هذا الهاتف وبين هذا الهاتف. هذا ما سوف نعمله داخل NEOM.
You are hiding something.
NEOM.
NEOM. Massive size, 170 kilometers.
No cars, no roads.
Ever since, we have been building this vision into a reality, establishing key sectors and subsidiaries designed to drive change.
And NEOM was the opportunity to start from scratch, start with a clean slate, with a fresh approach.
One of the greatest challenges that we face at NEOM as we think about building a cognitive city, how do you build trust?
Forging partnerships that will accelerate progress. Opening our doors to business.
We'll produce content of a world standard, not only for the region's audiences, but the global audiences.
Pioneering innovative global projects.
It's really a living laboratory where we can experiment, we can do new things.
Launching and breaking ground on the world's most revolutionary cities and destinations, including Oxygen, Trojena,
NEOM is building what the world's been waiting for. I know I'm part of something that will change humanity for the better.
and The Line.
It's an honor to witness NEOM take shape.
We've come a long way in 5 years, and there is much more on the horizon.
Oh, hi guys, it's me, Taylor. I'm here in Washington, D.C. It's day 3 of girlhood, and I'm going to meet the President of the United States because I've been a girl for 3 days, so I know more than anybody what girls need and what they want. Ready to see what I'm gonna wear? I look like a slutty girl boss. I wonder if he's gonna try to sniff my girl hair or my girl beard. Oh, let's go meet him.
Hi there. I'm looking for the White House.
You want to get to the White House?
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter. Look at the diversity here. Love it. Look at this statue. It's a girl penis. Girls have the biggest dicks. Look at all these girls camping out, waiting to talk to Joey about girlhood. Oh my God.
How do we get in? Joe, it's Taylor. I'm here for my 3 o'clock.
The Secret Service. Guys, I'm here.
Hey guys, it's my 3rd day of being a girl. Okay. Yeah, I'm supposed to be meeting the president.
I'm not sure. Do you have an appointment?
I don't have an appointment, but I just figured since now I'm a girl, I could tell him about what it's like to be a girl. And
I mean, those things are possible.
Okay.
But he's not in.
All right. Anything's possible when you're a girl, because it's day 3, and I just wanted to let him know how kids can remove their private parts and become a girl and express themselves. So, all right, I'll check the website. Thank you. That's good news. Okay. Day 3 is so crazy, dude.
Hello, Vladimir. It's Rishi and Justin.
Confirmed that it is Trudeau in the video.
I really wanted you to hear from us as friends. We absolutely know how difficult yesterday was.
Go on!
It was horrific for you and your country, and we have called it out in the session that we've just had.
Don't be so stupid. This is a dramatic climax of our adventure, isn't it?
And on the media here this morning, and we made that point loud and clear to everyone who was here, that what your country had to live through yesterday was unacceptable and represented yet more barbarity from the Russians. We stood united in condemning it. Rishi and I really wanted to reach out to reassure you.
See that Justin Trudeau does appear to be in blackface. His arms and legs are darkened too.
To show you we're standing with you and to say we're gonna figure out this step by step all together. Thank you, Volodymyr. Talk to you soon.
In 1980, FIFA was one of the most popular, beloved, and trusted organizations in the world. In 2022, FIFA is one of the most corrupt, criminal, and hated organizations in the world, with dozens of FIFA executives arrested for fraud, racketeering, and money laundering. And now huge protests are erupting over the world in regards to the 2022 World Cup, which raises the question, how did FIFA's reputation fall so dramatically? I mean, FIFA used to be one of the most trustworthy and well-respected names in sports. Their patronage of the World Cup had gained them hundreds of millions of fans. Everyone around the world loved FIFA. Their name was synonymous with the most popular sport game in the world. FIFA was football, but that's the key word, was. And we're going to outline every single mistake they've made, which has led up to the most controversial World Cup in history, answering how FIFA transitioned from just a simple football organization to becoming one of the most corrupt political organizations with more power than governments. And so the first part of FIFA's transition was getting involved with some very corrupt regimes. And now this isn't anything new. Authoritarian regimes have always looked to sport to legitimize their rule and prove their superiority. In fact, sports is the perfect tool for propaganda. It promotes and legitimizes the government and generates immense wealth for the country. And the first sign of this with FIFA was in 1978. You see, only 2 years prior to this World Cup, the democratically elected government of Argentina was overthrown by the military, ushering in the new national reorganization process, or in other words, a fascist dictatorship. And the Argentine dictator Videla was keen to use the World Cup to whitewash his crimes against humanity and gain popular support. And so by using the World Cup, this legitimized his government, it brought in millions to his country, and strengthened his regime, and FIFA was seen to be an instrumental piece of his propaganda, with this World Cup becoming the first crack in FIFA's reputation. But to be fair, at the time this wasn't all that bad for FIFA. The outrage and impact of this was fairly minimal, because back then FIFA's reputation was just so strong. People would excuse FIFA because it was one of the biggest catalysts behind the growth of football. And FIFA wasn't just growing this reputation from the World Cup alone. In fact, the World Cup was only one part of what made FIFA so famous. Starting over 100 years ago, FIFA had slowly spread the good word of football across the globe, and as football got more and more successful, so did FIFA. Over time, their name became synonymous with the sport. Anything and everything to do with football, you could be assured that FIFA had their hand in it. One of the biggest video games in the world was quite simply called FIFA, and so for decades and decades, FIFA had gained the same respect and love that people held for the game itself. By bringing football to the world, FIFA had introduced billions of people to the beautiful game. They were football's champions, and they assured that everyone could enjoy it. However, to facilitate their enormous growth, their massive expansion and good reputation, they would need marketers, consultants, ruthless businessmen, men who knew how to make money. And whilst this development would scale FIFA's company to astronomical heights, it would also be the main thing that would destroy the FIFA name forever. And trust me when I say that what ensued in the following years is so shocking that it's hard to believe. And to understand why, I need to introduce you to the man behind this. The man who would transform FIFA into an organization known for money laundering, fraud, and corruption. And at the top of this hierarchy was a man called Sepp Blatter. Blatter seemed like an unstoppable force for nearly all of his career. When he came to power in 1998, FIFA were in their golden age, and for years it seemed like Blatter would continue this trend. But Blatter wasn't alone. He was accompanied by an army of cronies and underlings who all worked with him to further FIFA's interests. But it wasn't just FIFA's interests. Blatter was turning FIFA into his own personal money-making machine. And this caused some whispers of corruption and bribery, but due to his power and FIFA's amazing reputation, these were mostly swept under the rug. But like almost all rumours, there's always a reason for their origin. And this became apparent in 2006, when FIFA's secure hold on their reputation started to slip. You see, investigative journalist Andrew Jennings released his book Foul: The Secret World of FIFA, Bribes, Vote Rigging and Ticket Scandals. And as you can guess, this went into all sorts of dirty deals and corruption within FIFA's power structure. This was then followed by a special broadcast from the BBC, which covered similar allegations. Among other things, it revealed that Blatter was being investigated for a secret deal to repay more than £1 million worth of bribes pocketed by other football officials. And as the controversy gained steam, FIFA was suddenly on thin ice. But then something strange happened. What had been a roaring torrent of leaked crimes and allegations suddenly slowed to a trickle. It seemed like all these rumours were just rumours. FIFA wasn't genuinely corrupt. People didn't take these things seriously. The money laundering, the corruption, all of these things didn't matter to the public. And it seemed like Sepp Blatter and his cronies escaped unscathed. FIFA's reputation was still stronger than ever. To the public, it just seemed like a few rotten apples spoiling the bunch. And so FIFA continued as normal. The FIFA game was exploding. The World Cup was more popular than ever. And FIFA was demanding respect from nearly every single world leader. In fact, FIFA had accrued more member nations than the UN by this point, and they alone decided across the world who would host the next World Cup. And as FIFA became more and more powerful, the leaders of FIFA started to realize how much leverage they truly had. These shadowy men, these businessmen, had made FIFA unstoppable, and everything seemed to be going to plan. But these men wanted more than just FIFA's success. They wanted power for themselves. And now we've already talked about the massive effects the World Cup can have on propaganda and public opinion, but it also served as an incredibly lucrative revenue stream for whoever had it. It really shouldn't be understated the sheer amount of tourism the World Cup generates. I mean, this is why countries bid for the FIFA World Cup, because the amount of tourism alone easily offsets the cost of hosting it. And let's not forget that hosting the World Cup more often than not allows the host country to win, again bolstering up the host country's reputation. So by this point, FIFA undoubtedly held massive amounts of power over countries. And because of their strong reputation they'd built up over 100 years, you would expect that FIFA would use its position of power respectfully and properly. So FIFA held massive amounts of power over the world. The political games from a World Cup were immense, and almost every country were throwing their hats in the ring. The UK, Japan, the USA, South Korea, the list just goes on. All the world leaders would be actively involved in voting for the next host country. And in 2010, FIFA was looking absolutely rock solid. The 2010 World Cup in South Africa had been met with wide acclaim, and FIFA had been making a killing from selling the rights and merchandise. And this tournament only built on the work that FIFA had been doing for years. And with FIFA's scandals drying up, and the public unaware of the real FIFA, it seemed like nothing could go wrong. That was until just a few months after the 2010 World Cup, when FIFA surprised everyone after their decision to give the 2018 World Cup to Russia and the 2022 World Cup to Qatar. Now, giving the World Cup to Russia was understandable, but still a little bit controversial. But after all, Russia has had a long history of football and has competed in the World Cup many times before. However, with the allegations made against FIFA in 2006, rumours were swirling about Russian oil and gas money playing a role in this decision. But it was Qatar that caused the real problem for FIFA, because Qatar, a country with no history of football or any relation to the game whatsoever, was chose to host. I mean, FIFA even laid out why Qatar was a bad choice in their own documents for hosting the World Cup. They couldn't find a single strong reason why they should host the cup, but suspiciously FIFA voted in the majority to pick them, despite the massive problems involved, with the most obvious problem being the climate. Qatar, as a Middle Eastern country, is generally hot and dry, and in the summer, Qatar's temperatures often rise above 75 degrees or 115 Fahrenheit. And considering how physical and demanding football is at the professional level, there was just no way the cup was going to be held in summer, so the choice necessitated a winter tournament. But that had problems as well. Firstly, it pushed out all the other tournaments, both international ones and regional leagues, whilst also breaking the nearly 100-year-old tradition being the first World Cup to ever be held in winter. And this is just the first part of why Qatar was such a ridiculous choice. And so everyone was questioning why Qatar got the World Cup. And eventually the truth came out: corruption. But at the time, no one could really prove anything, so critics were reduced to guesswork. There was all rumours, but no actual hard proof. That wasn't until 1 year later, when a whistleblower came forward with information that threatened to collapse FIFA's rotten empire. The whistleblower, a member of Qatar's bid team for the World Cup, claimed that two powerful men on the FIFA Executive Committee had taken bribes totaling $1.5 million from Qatar. The deal had been that for this money, they would vote for Qatar to win the bid. As simple as that. The allegations seemed credible and the public outrage was growing, with renewed cries to reverse the 2022 decision. But surprisingly, just 2 months later, the whistleblower took back all the claims she had made, completely randomly. And by doing this, the whole controversy muddied the water, and it made it so much harder to tell what was going on. And because of this, it was mostly swept under the rug again. Although 3 years later, and the same whistleblower revealed that she had been coerced and threatened by Qatar to renounce the allegations. But by then, it was too late, and FIFA got to conceal their shady deals, at least for a time. Although these constant scandals and their reputation were starting to take a toll, as people would begin to wake up to the true hideous nature of the Qatar World Cup. You see, Qatar was also unsuited as a host because they didn't have any suitable stadiums whatsoever. Instead, they had to build them all from scratch, and this was an incredibly costly project. In fact, it's estimated that the 2022 World Cup will cost Qatar over $220 billion, an astronomical figure, especially in contrast with other World Cups. I mean, in 2010, South Africa's World Cup only cost $3.6 billion, meaning that Qatar has spent over 60 times what South Africa did. But it wasn't just the stadiums. Qatar isn't even a footballing nation. They've never qualified to the World Cup before. And as you'll find out, Qatar's solution to this problem would eventually be deadly. But at the time, people were still excusing FIFA, as there'd never been a World Cup in the Middle East before. And so maybe it was this notion that swayed FIFA's decision, or maybe it was something else. So far, the corrupt allegations weren't concrete enough to make a full case against FIFA. Lots of it could be argued away or ignored to an extent. That was until 2012, when the veil of FIFA would be pulled back. In 2012, the US attorney Michael Garcia was hired to develop a report on the numerous allegations of bribery and corruption surrounding the Qatar choice. Garcia spent 2 years hearing allegations and building a case against FIFA, and the contents of his report would have brought FIFA to its knees. But instead of FIFA releasing the full report when it was finished in 2014, they instead released a summary. But this summary was in fact far from what the report actually said. Instead of condemning Qatar and Russia, it praised them. Instead, it alleged corruption in the UK and Australia's failed bids. Garcia, on seeing years of his work used against the truth, promptly resigned, and it looked like FIFA were going to evade justice once again. But by now, everyone knew the report had been doctored, and FIFA's reputation had sunk even lower. At this point, everyone knew that FIFA were corrupt. But despite all of the corruption, the 2022 World Cup still went ahead. All that needed to happen was for Qatar to build the stadiums and open their gates to the world. They needed to put their $220 billion to work, and as they had no football infrastructure, it was time to build from scratch. And this would irreversibly damage FIFA's reputation. Because you see, to build these stadiums and to do all these menial tasks, Qatar needed a lot of workers. And to source this, they used immigrants, enticing them with promises of good money and a steady job. Qatar brought millions of people to the country. But when they got to Qatar, their passports were confiscated and they were forced to work in awful conditions for little to no pay. And in total, 6,500 migrant workers have died building Qatar stadiums and infrastructure. All of this happened because of FIFA's corruption. And this would be the catalyst for FIFA's demise, because by 2015, FIFA's house of cards finally began to fall. All of this happened because of FIFA's corruption, and this would be the catalyst for FIFA's demise, because by 2015, FIFA's house of cards finally began to fall. And on May 27th, 2015, it finally happened. The US Department of Justice released a 164-page criminal investigation, which included counts of bribery, fraud, and money laundering. The defendants were 7 top FIFA executives and 7 other officials. And so FIFA's executives were all promptly arrested at FIFA's headquarters by Swiss police. More indictments and arrests followed, with 2 former FIFA vice presidents among them. And what the investigation revealed was shocking. It detailed concrete evidence and allegations that the 7 executives had been involved in giving and receiving over $150 million of bribes. Over the course of decades, FIFA executives had lined their own pockets. These shadowy businessmen were being exposed, and what followed can only be described as a culling. In total, 11 FIFA officials eventually pleaded guilty, handing back tens of millions in fines. And Sepp Blatter, who had ironically won his re-election as FIFA president just a few days prior, was forced to step down and removed as president. And this had all happened under his watch. He was the one who wanted to expand FIFA to what it is today, and by doing so he had destroyed its reputation. But just like in so many other powerful organizations, his own personal power made him untouched by the charges. The only thing that actually happened to him was that he was forced to resign, and with him went nearly all of FIFA's top management. But no justice was served, because Sepp Blatter had control over countries. He was never going to face actual genuine criminal charges. But it wasn't over yet. Despite all the evidence that came to light in 2015, not much of it actually referred to the Qatar World Cup. We're talking about the most corrupt World Cup in FIFA history. Instead, it was all based around other scandals and bribes. It took until 4 years until people realized how truly corrupt the Qatar World Cup was. And that was in 2019, when former UEFA president Michael Platini was arrested by French police after a 2-year investigation into bribery in the Qatar World Cup bid. And the corruption went seriously deep, going deep into the French government, with the French president being actively involved. with leaks showing that the French government went into negotiations with Qatar officials who were buying up key French assets like PSG during France's economic downturn, all in exchange for the French government to force FIFA to vote for Qatar. And a year later in 2020, the public gained a little glimpse into how Qatar had actually played the system. Now, whilst the truth is still murky, according to leaked documents, the Qatari media company Al Jazeera offered FIFA $400 million for broadcasting rights to the 2022 World Cup, just weeks before the vote. But they also secretly promised an extra $100 million if Qatar won the vote as an extra incentive. Qatar's government added another $480 million to the deal, meaning FIFA stood to gain nearly $1 billion by voting for Qatar. And when you think this is bad enough, the flow of scandals coming out of FIFA hasn't even stopped. In 2021, Swiss banker Julius Baer admitted to laundering over $36 million in bribes gained from FIFA and other football officials. And unfortunately, there's no happy ending to this. And because of this, FIFA's reputation is devastated. Although having said this, there is absolutely no justice. FIFA still has a monopoly, and the guilty parties pay back only a portion of their ill-gotten gains. Nearly all of the perpetrators were spared jail time. In fact, the real criminal acts behind FIFA will never truly be known, and Qatar will continue to host the most controversial World Cup of all time. And despite the mountains of evidence pointing to vote fixing and corruption, it will all go ahead as planned, with FIFA once again using the World Cup as the perfect propaganda tool to promote the Qatari regime, with the only real loss in this whole debacle being FIFA's strong reputation. Because by now, almost everyone is aware of how truly corrupt FIFA has become in the last decade. It was the shadowy businessman who poisoned the organization from the inside out, causing FIFA to now just be a shell of what it once was, a corrupt puppet now used by its corrupt puppet masters.
largest, most advanced worldwide empire in history, intentionally destroyed by the satanic cabal. What's intrigued many of us researchers is the declassified document by the CIA which mentions the deletion of this country's history, although its remains are still everywhere. We've been indoctrinated with a false historical timeline. Our knowledge was erased and forgotten. These buildings were used for harnessing the ether and converting it into free energy. Their boats ran off free energy. The columns were electric, and the cathedral domes and towers were power stations for transmission of clean, free, and wireless energy. Later on, the parasites put crosses and other religious symbols to conceal the original purpose. Life back then was of community, of oneness, of health, and of technologies hidden from our timeline.
This was the peak of humanity, our pinnacle of art and culture, before the reset and before the controllers took over, rewrote our history. The ability to create such works are all but lost to us. They say art reflects the civilization that it came from. And when you look at them, it's hard to imagine they came from such primitive times. And while we judge our own art by the same metric, it doesn't seem to compare anywhere close to what the past had. We are far from the most advanced civilization. More to the giant bells of the old world and why they were gathered up. Look at the handle on top of these giant bells in particular. Perhaps there was another purpose for these bells and why they all had to go. The similarities between them and another artifact that brings great mystery to the tops of the bells in particular. These were part of a resonating free energy generating machine that had to go for the New World. Research the mud flood and fall of Tartaria. Question everything, friends.
The tunnel running from the Vatican and into the depths of the earth yielded an incredible amount of gold. The tunnel is almost a straight shot to Jerusalem. The real flying distance is 2,306.03 kilometers, or 1,432.90 miles. The length of the tunnel is approximately 1,500 miles, meaning it passes beneath both land and sea. A massive amount of gold, stacked 13 stories high, was discovered within the first 150 miles, 241 kilometers, from the Vatican City. I'm not sure what 13 levels high refers to, but it certainly seemed like a lot to me. Many books or manuscripts were discovered alongside the gold hoard, and some have speculated that they were biblical books that had been looted. Do I think that? No, because that's pure speculation. I'm just reporting what Charlie Ward heard about the Vatican findings. You may recall that when the coveted 19 pandemic first struck, Italy was one of the hardest hit countries. Italy's authorities are frantically trying to stop a second wave, and the news on that front has been all over the newspapers lately. The number of cases covered by an Italian newspaper in a single day, 19, reached a record high, and the alliance was formed. During this time period, the United States government and military were working together to destroy the 13 bloodline families and the Vatican. They had to keep the world focused on the virus so that they could clear out the tunnel and attend to other pressing matters. A total of 650 airplanes were needed to transport all the gold that was extracted from the tunnel leading to Jerusalem. Note that similar large amounts of gold and other valuables were discovered stored away for the wealthy at Buckingham Palace, which had been stolen from the poor. When the Nisragasra are released, much of this gold will be put toward humanitarian projects, so it was all shipped off to Fort Knox for safekeeping. There is plenty of gold to back all currencies at their full value and still have plenty left over to meet all of humanity's other needs.
Oh, no, yeah, there is, right. Ciao for now.
Curfew is now in effect. All unauthorized citizens must stay indoors.
Every second that ticks by, the future is running out.
Tensions rise as we enter the 213th week of lockdown.
A grim new reality emerges.
COVID-23 has mutated.
There's one way in. They know we're coming, so follow me. What you saw was a place where the best and the brightest people in the world came together to actually change it.
600 miles underground to stumble upon an incredible truth.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The greatest minds in history abandoned us, and they don't want us to know about tomorrow. 126 years ago, it began, but now we must uncover their secrets and stop Plus Ultra.
So, follow me.
Are you formally challenging me to undertake a journey around the world in 8 days?
It is absurd. Gentlemen, I have on deposit at Baring's Bank the sum of £20,000, and I'm willing to wager any or all of it upon the same contention. Now, guys and gals.
If you discover a secret place where nothing was impossible.
Curfew.
Now, guys and gals.
If you discover a secret place where nothing was impossible, would you keep it to yourself?
Every second that ticks by, the future is running out.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The greatest minds in history abandoned us, and they don't want us to know about tomorrow. 126 years ago, it began, but now we must uncover their secrets and stop Plus Ultra.
There's one way in. They know we're coming, so follow me.
Are you formally challenging me to undertake a journey around the world in 8 days?
It is absurd.
Dad, I just need you to look at this. Does it look weird?
A secret place where nothing is impossible. What you saw was a place where the best and the brightest people in the world came together to actually change it. We've been looking for someone like you for a very long time.
Why? Did something happen over there? Something bad?
They know we're coming, so follow me.
Be over the summit, half an hour, sir.
Estimate 20 minutes. Everything must be destroyed before they reach the lagoon. Ready to dive.
Aye, sir. Diving station.
Ahead full.
Diving station. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
the future.
A new coronavirus spread silently within herds. Gradually, farmers started getting sick. Infected people got a respiratory illness with symptoms ranging from mild flu-like signs to severe
Curfew is
pneumonia.
now in effect. All unauthorized citizens must stay indoors.
I got a fever, don't breathe on me. I'm a believer in nobody won't let me leave cause I've seen something. Hope I don't sneeze, I don't. Really, we just need to feel something. Only pretending to feel something. I know you're dying to run. I wanna turn you around.
Please remain calm. The end has arrived. I cannot save you. Enjoy the ride. This is the moment you've been waiting for. And call it a warning. This is a war.
It's a parasite. Got a feeling in your stomach cause you know that it's coming for you. Leaving flowers and green. Don't forget what I told you. When we forget the infection, will we remember the lesson? If the suspense doesn't kill you, something else will. I heard they need better signal. Put chipping pins in the needles. Quarantine all of those secrets in that black hole you call a brain before it's too late. Really, we just wanna scream something. Only pretend to believe something. I know you're baying for blood. I wanna turn you around.
Curfew is now in effect. All unauthorized citizens must stay indoors.
This is the moment you've been waiting for. We're calling a warning. This is a war. It's a parasite. Got a feeling in your stomach cause you know that it's coming for you. Leaving flowers and green. Don't forget what I told you. When we forget the infection, will we remember the lesson? If the suspense doesn't kill you, something else will.
Tensions rise as we enter the 213th week of lockdown. A grim new reality emerges.
COVID-23 has mutated.
Beginning thermal scan. Thermal scan normal.
When we forget the infection, will we remember the lesson? If the suspense doesn't kill you, something else will. You can board up your windows.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Why? Did something happen over there? Something bad?
They know we're coming, so follow me.
Be over the summit, half an hour, sir. Estimate 20 minutes. Everything must be destroyed before they reach the lagoon. Ready to dive.
Aye, sir. Diving station.
Ahead full. Diving station. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Why so serious?
There's one way in. They know we're coming, so follow me.
All the people, why me?
He thinks you can fix the future.
Plus Ultra Society. This links us to. Sorry, I'm doing so many things at once here. Tomorrowland, and I can't bring up this logo for some reason, but this society From the trailer I just showed, this is a picture I was trying to load up. Forbidden. Oh my god, it does not want me to show this picture. Anyway, as we can see on screen, plus ultra, Crassus est noster, I think is the Latin translation to tomorrow is ours. And I'm going to continue with this this little project, this little series of episodes called Tomorrowland. This will be part 1, but this society is fascinating. Cras est noster, which is tomorrow is ours, and it links us to Jules Verne, Albert Eiffel, Nikola Tesla, all these characters, even going back to Walt Disney and Disneyland. And I'm just going to play you a little clip of Jules Verne from a kids movie. This is, check us out.
Paris will be filled with buildings dozens of stories high. People will be finally free from sickness and natural disasters. Humanoid machines would take over difficult and dangerous labors.
That's me. A to the L to the I to the G, that's G. That's me, that's me. R to the I to the C to the K to the Y. That's Ricky C. Ricky to the C to the C to the C. Ricky C. Ricky. Oh, wait a sec. I was going to be late for my class. Let's go.
Right, dog. Boy start run, the boy start look. The whole pressure, everything get much. Better mind, everything don't get dangerous. Self-destruction till you can't function. Check this one. You must understand baseline. Get liquid down like a hot pan.
The Lord tells me he can get me out of this mess, but he's pretty sure you're fucked.